what methodology would you recommend for an organization to get back to the black from being in the red financially? So here's a very, it's a very broad, general question.
Fire a bunch of people.
What? Just kidding.
Yeah.
Kidding. It cut out. I thought you said hire. No.
No.
Mr. Burns, come on now.
Right.
You are no Mr. Burns. I mean, I think of a lean A3 problem-solving process. Before throwing out solutions, I think we have to start by understanding why is an organization losing money. What's the current state? What's the trend? I think you have to start doing some reflection and root cause analysis. I would start and look and see, is the problem on the sales and revenue side? Is the problem on the cost side? And start narrowing that problem down, or breaking it out into other problems. Organizational profitability is a really, really broad problem. So how do you focus that to start looking at the root cause? Otherwise, you may be analyzing and pondering and discussing forever when if the organization's losing money, you need action. So I would encourage Sumit or the people he's working with, make sure don't just rush into trying solutions mode. I mean, there's that balance. There's a sense of urgency, but if you don't take a little bit of time to figure out if you're doing the right things, then that urgency isn't going to lead to real improvement, and that's a waste of time too.
Right. I'd like to add, just to continue your thoughts there, once you understand what the problem is or what the problems are, there are going to be some strategies that are going to be better to address those problems. For instance, let's say it's determined that one of the problems has to do with, okay, well, we need a new product that goes into a new market. Well, I mean, that's a top-down, high-risk, high-cost effort at an organization. So I would take a very different approach with that versus, wow, we have horrible turnover and our staff engagement is really, really low. Then, well, I'd really focus on the bottom-up side of that. And as we're kind of thinking through, well, where is all the improvement potential at an organization? What we typically find is about 20% of the improvement potential in an organization is going to be found by doing top-down efforts, and 80% of the improvement potential of an organization is going to be from bottom-up efforts. So does that mean if you are a weightlifter, you need to not do any weightlifting and do kind of general exercises? No. If you're trying to lift more weight, you probably need to do things that will allow you to lift more weight. You might have to, work on just the 20%. If you're just trying to become a better athlete in general, well, then you could take a different approach at that as well. So I think once you understand the problem, then you need to figure out, okay, what is the best type of methodology to use? And what we typically find is if it's a large-scale efforts, you're probably going to want more expertise on that. You're certainly going to want frontline improvement and involvement on that, and it needs to be kind of more aligned with a strategic goal or strategic pillar. And if it's something that is determined that's bottom up, it's typically really focused on the low cost, low risk, easy hits, just get people engaged, and I think that you're going to ultimately be a lot more successful. But it gets down to the very first point. You definitely need to understand a problem before you start thinking about what the solution is.
Yeah, and just to build on what you said about 80% of improvement coming from basically the bottom up perspective, that's what the good folks at ThedaCare, health system in Wisconsin, have figured out over 13 or 14 years of lean practice. Rapid improvement events, bigger initiatives are a relatively small part of the improvement overall compared to staff-driven improvement. The Robinson and Schroeder research at different organizations shows, basically a pyramid structure where the base of employee-driven ideas actually have the vast majority of the impact compared to the bigger projects and bigger initiatives. And there's one of those old habits, back to the question, Mr. Burns is probably used to big projects, big initiatives, project manager, Mr. Burns, and back to those old industrialists in the first question that we were talking about. There's old habits of expecting projects, of hiring that one key person from another organization and saying, you're going to make us profitable, you're going to make us lean, and that's it's easier said than done.